Do. All right, I have 4:30. You guys have 4:30?
Yes.
Okay. I would like to call this emergency meeting of the Board of Health to order on Wednesday, February 18th at 4:30 p.m., 2026. This is a remote meeting via Zoom. This meeting will be conducted remotely over Zoom. Attendance by board commission members will be remote, and remote attendance shall count towards the quorum. The meeting will be broadcast live and recorded on ECAT. To use Zoom, you will need to use the link on the agenda or download the Zoom application at www.zoom.us and create an account or use one of the call-in numbers listed on the agenda. You will need the webinar ID to join by phone only. While conducting meetings remotely, we will endeavor to keep the meeting operations as close to our standard procedures as possible. However, the use of this platform will necessitate some additional meeting protocols. One being, while the board members or commissioners and applicants will be on video and audio, public participants will join the webinar as attendees, meaning they are muted with no video feed for them. During the public testimony portion of the meeting, members of the public can be recognized by using the raise the hand function found under participants from Zoom, or make a request with the Q&A function. If you're joining only by phone, you can press *9 to raise your hand. If the applicant wishes to display materials, please make the request of the chair and the email materials to board staff for sharing on screen. When sharing testimony, please state your name and the address for the record. As with any public meeting, indecent behavior will not be tolerated, and anyone who abuses the use of the meeting platform will be terminated from the meeting. Board members are asked to announce themselves when making a motion and second, so that it will be clear to the audience and minute takers who make motions. All votes will be by roll call. When all business indicated on the agenda has been completed, the members will vote to adjourn the meetings, signaling the end of the meeting and the termination of ECAT recording. All participants will be disconnected from the webinar at that time. So I'd like to introduce myself as Chris Mills, the chair, and we'll do a roll call round.
Man.
I'm Taryn Bueller.
Okay.
And Kristen Kennedy, director. Chris, I have the representatives from Stonehill Court as well as town council in the waiting room. Do I have your permission to promote them to panelists?
Absolutely.
All right. As well as their management company, and then we'll let them
Sure.
all introduce themselves. Alex, is the HMB that I'm seeing, is that Mr. Biddlecombe?
That would be he, yes. And it looks like Ms. Toth from M. Shapiro is also present.
Okay. All right.
You guys for your flexibility, particularly given all the moving pieces last week. It seems like we were all on the road, so I appreciate you giving us some grace to reschedule this for this week, particularly so we could gather some more information about what's going on down there. And we do have some updates for you.
Awesome.
Great.
I'll
Thanks
turn it back
for
over to you,
joining us.
Chris.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I know it's a tough time closer to supper time and everything, but this is important. So we have one thing on our agenda, and for action and discussion is to discuss 305 Turnpike, also known as Stonehill Court, with the trailer park, and the sanitary conditions that we have discovered there have been brought to light. So I don't know, Paul or Kristen, who wants to lead off with?
So,
Go ahead. I was just going to say, if you want, I can, give a little bit of background, and then perhaps Mr. Cabot and Mr. Biddlecombe and Angie Toth could speak to what's going on there. So as you all know, this community has had a history of issues and problems. Under the ownership of Morgan Management, very little was done to improve or even maintain the aging and failing infrastructure that was there. Over time, the town took great steps to ensure and protect the residents in this community, by going forward with establishing a rent control board, petitioning the courts for receivership, and working diligently with the receiver to effect a sale to a responsible party, which we believe we have in front of us now in the form of Crown / Ignite. This took longer than anyone expected. We had a pandemic. We had a bunch of issues that came along with it, and the sale took longer than anyone anticipated. But the sale finally went through just 3.5 months ago. If we go back and look at the history in 2025, we maintain a complaint log just for perspective of all complaints received by the office. And in 2025, we received 96 or 97 complaints. These range a whole range of issues, 25 of which of these were at the park. 3 of them related to, 6 of them related to sewer availability, connection, functionality, but narrowed to 2 trailers. On top of that, we had 12 complaints that we received in 2025 that had to deal with water issues. We've frequently referred, prior to the work that's been done recently, to the water supply system down there being like playing a game of whack-a-mole. As soon as one leak was fixed, another one would pop up. In the 3.5 months that Crown has been the owners, they have done a lot of work on the water supply system as a highest priority, ensuring that, to my knowledge, every trailer in there now has a safe supply of potable water. We do still have 2 trailers that have issues with waste disposal, and that's being able to connect easily to a connection for a sewer that isn't collapsed. We have a street where we believe the sewer is collapsed. That's where these 2 trailers would have tied into. To go back, the 2 owners of these 2 trailers have acted on their own behalf back in March, April, May of last year, June of last year, contacting the office and letting us know that they had problems. We responded to those problems, made the receiver aware, and eventually a temporary solution of providing porta potties, which was agreeable to, actually suggested by one of the members of the homeowners association, and was accepted by the 2 parties that have these units. All complaints related to sewer ceased the day that the porta-johns were delivered. We have not received a single complaint on sewer issues in our office since that time. As I said, the water issues continued to be reported. We have received no complaints at all for anything, trash, sewer, water, anything, since Crown has taken over. Crown has big plans for the park. They have prioritized things, and I think this probably would be a good time to introduce them and let them speak to what their plans are, what they've done so far, unless the chair wants to have go in a different direction.
No, I'd actually like to know who everyone is. That'd be great.
All right, Alex, I'm going to pass it off to you to go ahead and introduce your team then.
Certainly, and thank you again for that concise introduction, Kristen. To all the members of the Board of Health, I am one of the managing partners of Crown Communities. We do business as Ignite Communities, so if you've heard either moniker and usage as it pertains to Stonehill Court, it's one and the same. The other managing partner is Mr. Biddlecombe. He's also on the call. He is more knowledgeable than I on infrastructure and CapEx issues, so I'm going to let him speak to the bulk of these issues. Separately, we also have Angie Toth, who is our regional manager with our property management company, M. Shapiro. She has been working at this property diligently since before we took over, and then has been on site several times since the handover back in October. She's intimately familiar with all the issues, has spoken to almost every one of the residents living down there. She's a wealth of information and knowledge about this subject. I'm happy for her to add some color as well. And I'll echo what Kristen said. We don't need to relitigate the long and tortuous history of this property through multiple rounds of prior ownership, receivers, court orders. I think we all know what's happened. We knew what we were getting involved in when we took over. We've rolled up our sleeves. We've made it clear that we're not going to rest until we've fixed as many of these issues as possible. Even though we acknowledge it might take a little bit of time, we certainly want this to be a nice looking community that we can all be proud of. For those of you who don't know, I am from Boston. I grew up there. I have family there. The absolute last thing that I personally want is to be associated in any way with a property that's not a sterling place to live. And I, for one, and my partners here certainly look forward to making that outcome a reality. I'll let the other two briefly introduce themselves, and then if no one has any questions, I think I will let Mr. Biddlecombe discuss where we are at with some of these issues that you guys have mentioned.
Okay, hello, thank you. My name is Heath Biddlecombe. As Alex said, I'm one of the managing partners, or the only one, or the only other one. Just to kind of give you an idea, when we took over the property approximately 3 months ago, there was about 7 water leaks. There were tenants that did not have potable water. They were using next door neighbors' water. We went in there and we are now replacing approximately 1,000 linear feet of new water line. To this date, we have fixed 5 of the 6 water lines leaks, and we have 1 remaining. So at this time, all tenants have portable water to their units. So our goal was first to attack the water system. Our second on the agenda is to fix the sewer system. As of this date, we have 2 units that are on porta potties. One of the tenants had passed away in January, so technically we have 1 tenant on that has been assigned a porta potty, but he has connected to the next door neighbor's sewer system. So at this date, all units are connected to the sewer system except for the unit that had passed away. Our goal is, once the weather gets a little bit better, to attack the sewer system, and that's involved moving a couple units and retrenching down and connecting and putting a new sewer line in.
So Heath, we're aware of 2 that are actively using the porta-johns. We had the 3rd was a woman that passed away. We have units 28 and 41.
We have units 27 and 28. Unit 28, I believe, is connected to the next door neighbor. Unit 27, the young lady or the lady had passed away, Mrs. Shaw.
Yep, the other is unit 41. Mr. Alpin?
Yeah, Angie, you're on mute. Maybe I'll let Angie speak to you regarding that one. I don't know of that one.
It does look like Mr. Alpin does. A porta-john should not be picked up.
So we're dealing with 1 tenant that is using
one tenant that has to use.
And we're reaching out to that tenant to solve to coordinate with him to potentially get a better system for that individual. He has not complained to us, but
No.
that doesn't mean that we're not actively trying to speak with that individual and find a more permanent solution until we can get in there and fix that the sewer line.
And
I've actually spoken to Mr. Alpin several times. He understands the work in progress. He's never once said anything negative. He's current on his rent. Nice guy.
is the reason that I'm assuming the reason that you haven't gone in there yet is time of year, weather?
Yes.
Something like that?
Yes, trailers have to be moved because the sewer line is running underneath them. So it's unlike a water line that we out of the thousands feet of new water line that we are putting in, we've installed approximately 300 feet. So a third of what we're trying to do because of weather.
So just for the record, because I'm just trying to jot this down, there is presently potable water to every trailer there.
Yes.
Okay. And as far as people using a portable restroom, there are 2 units or one?
One.
There's one individual. There's, okay.
Yes. Lot 41, I believe.
Okay.
Yes. 27A passed away. The home is vacant currently. 28 is rerouted.
Okay.
And how-
And when did 28 get rerouted? My understanding, last week there were 4. Then I heard there were 3. Now I'm hearing that there's 1. And so when did the other one get rerouted? Because one of the trailers has 3 children in it, and that was one of the ones that's using a porta potty.
Our understanding, speaking with Scott Knowles, that was rerouted before we purchased the unit, before we purchased the community.
So,
That's certainly not what I'm getting for information from our inspectors that are going down there.
yeah, according to our inspectors, there is a pipe change that has been made under 28 off to a different area. It does not, I don't know whether it's come ajar potentially, but they are reporting that they are able to discharge fluids through that line, but not solids. So they don't have full use of their facilities.
Okay, that's something that we were not made aware of, but we are now.
Angie, are you aware of that? I know it seems like you're the one that handles.
On the ground.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, he told me that it was inconvenient, but yet that they could still use the facility.
No. Are you aware? What Paul was saying was that he was aware that there was a family with 3 children that was unable to discharge solids.
No, when I actually talked to that gentleman, he had mentioned that he had kids and that line was connected. He can use it in the house. That's what he told me.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure
The
out.
father.
Okay. The discrepancy between what, Paul, you said the inspectors.
Yes, that was the report that was given to us, and then at the Monday meeting, and then when I followed up on Tuesday and Wednesday, that was certainly still the case. And then I went down there, and there was another inspection. I believe so Tuesday, February 10th. 41 is currently using the porta-john. His toilet and bathtub are not functioning due to the sewage backup. He's only able to sponge bath. This was last Tuesday. Number 28, occupants are using the porta-john. The unit is occupied by 2 adults and a young daughter, approximately 5 years old. Toilet and shower not operable due to crushed sewer pipes since June 2nd, 2025. And then I got an update verbally on this one that they misspoke. It wasn't 1 child, there's 3 in that unit.
28 is vacant.
No, 27 is vacant.
So I'm sorry,
27 is
27.
vacant.
I apologize. 27, excuse me.
28 is the gentleman that told me himself able to use the facilities inside.
This was last Tuesday from our inspector, who has been in touch with them many, many times. So I guess
I'm just saying what he told me is, that the porta-john is still there. They can still use it. That they can use the facilities in the house when it's real cold, because the line had been rerouted.
We need to get better verification on who's telling us what.
So,
because when I first learned of this, and that's what prompted me to call for a meeting. And in January, I think we had three sustained weeks of -10, -15 degrees to find out that people were using a porta-john outside in a plastic hollow toilet. I find that unacceptable. I understand and I appreciate. Well, I understand. I appreciate the reputation that you guys bring to the table. I understand and I appreciate the efforts that you guys have already gone through and where the direction you're heading for this park. I get that. But here's a couple of my rubs. Let me get into what my rubs are. I understand that whether according to you, is prohibiting these things from happening. Yet the town of Easton had 8 to 10 major water main leaks in 0-degree weather, and we fixed all of them. We're putting a septic system in up on Center Street currently. We're burying people in all of our cemeteries. The weather thing is lost on me. When I find out that these people, I don't know how many units, we're going back to June 2025, and I understand you guys took ownership in November. And that's not lost on me. I'm not looking for anything other than these people. It's unacceptable. It was certainly unacceptable long before you people got there. But then to sit here and listen to you say, well, the weather, and we'll get to it when it turns nice. I don't like that. I'm familiar with construction. I know what we're capable of. My quick research is that and I understand you replaced 300 feet of water line, but we're leaking 67,000 gallons a day down there. Is anybody aware of that? 67,000 gallons a day. What is that causing for problems? And yet we're able to fix our water lines in 15 below here in the town of Easton.
Well, you're misunderstanding us. So first of all, we have fixed approximately 6 water line breaks. We have one that is that needs to be vacuumed out that we have not fixed yet due to weather and due to our contractor. The second is fixing a sewer main is going to require moving homes.
Mm-hmm.
And redoing it. That becomes prohibited during this weather.
I just don't understand why. I don't understand the difference between moving a home now and moving a home in the summer.
We have no place to put the home. The home has to be taken out of the community.
Okay. But won't that be the case in the summer? No?
Yes, or potentially we might be able to put it on a couple of vacant lots that we just recently tore down. So we're at the mercy of our contractor as well. It's not, there's a lot of factors that are going into this thing. The system has to be redesigned.
So I just want to back up for a second. I'm still hung up on the discrepancy on who's got what for service, because we're hearing from our local inspectors that there are X, Y, and Z, and the management company, who I'm absolutely, you guys are responsive and everything like that. If you're not aware of that, that's kind of where the problem starts, and that's an easy remedy. But it's unclear to me who's got what now, and that's I think what we need to address first before we mitigate. You know, like Paul said, if there's some people that you're not aware of that don't have those services, then we should deal with that. But if it's a mix-up, then we need to sort that out too.
And if you were under the impression that number 28 had been tied into the collection system at another point that was reliable, and that has changed, potentially that's something that could be fixed with very quickly, I would think. Yes. If we've got gravity going to a connection and something has come ajar, that should be a fairly, something we can do fairly expeditiously. I mean, there's more room to work out there now that the trailers that you spoke of there have been 5 or 6 that have been removed.
Yes.
That might present even clearer paths to connect those 2 trailers, be it temporarily, to connection points that are not crushed as the one under their trailers is. What is the timeline? Again, this is imperative. It's New England. This has been going on. What is the timeline that you would propose for being able to get your contractor out there and potentially look at that as a temporary solution till the big work can be done of actually rebuilding a sewer.
I'm meeting Scott Knowles on Monday, March 2nd and 3rd.
So beginning of week after next.
If our reports are correct, I find that unacceptable.
Kate Federoff, Town Council. I guess, Mr. Meehan, I hear your concern. And so what is your intention for resolution? Because from a legal perspective, I'll give you the landscape. The way this would work is one of the inspectors would go out and investigate, and then they would issue a notice, and then the notice gets sent to Crown. Then Crown has the opportunity to cure, and then there's enforcement from there, which would be a kind of a lengthy court proceeding. In terms of getting to a deadline, I'm not sure if you would achieve a quicker deadline or a quicker resolution than what they're proposing. That said, I'm wondering if Crown can do as Kristen said and think outside of the box and look for a more suitable temporary solution more quickly, even if you're not there on site. And I don't know your name again. I know HMB. Heath. If you could reach out to him via phone rather than being there in person, if there's some other temporary switch, to Kristen's point, looking at those vacant sites that perhaps have a connection there that you could jerry rig for the time being. Is something like that possible to do in the interim?
That was
yeah.
That was the earliest he can see me.
Okay. That's the earliest the contractor can get out there? Yes. Is that the earliest that worked for both of you?
That's the earliest that he could be able to get out there. I'm available sooner, but he was not.
Oh. Okay.
Kate, can I ask you a question?
Yes, please, Chris.
I
apologize. I was moving today, you guys. I didn't expect to come to the Board of Health. And normally it's more presentable.
And obviously we're going to have to come up with some kind of agreement, fix, order of conditions, something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot. Let's say Crown offered temporary housing somewhere else.
Yeah.
In the interim. What happens if the family doesn't want it?
Yeah, I mean, that's the interesting part here, right? Because the complainant doesn't appear to be the family. And they haven't come to Kristen, and they certainly had her number. So I'm a little concerned because there are certain situations or reasons why people don't want to relocate. Of course, you can force a relocation. It is something that's not nice to see or be a part of. I've been there for part of those things. But it's difficult. Is there a possibility of even reaching out to see what the goals and desires of this family are? Maybe that is part outreach, part inspection that could be accomplished by one of your people, Kristen?
Yep. But it would need to be, is Crown willing to offer that? Even if it were, say, 2 weeks, since Heath, you're going to be out in the area the first week of March. Would it be something where Crown would agree to offer the two people who are having the issue access to alternative housing for 2 weeks? That would put us a couple of days beyond that if we meet on site March 2nd and a solution is easily put together, they could be back in their homes before the first weekend in March, if they chose to. But I can't go out and ask if they're interested without saying you guys are willing to make that happen. In the past, the gentleman number 41 was offered temporary housing under the receiver. They could not come to an agreement as to how that was going to be processed financially, and so it never happened. Is that something?
I can tell you that we have not received one complaint from either one of those residents regarding the porta potties. That's right, Angie. Have you received any complaint there? I know we haven't at corporate.
No, I mean,
You know-
28 mentioned that it was cold out. Also, needs to find it.
You know what it is, Heath? I think you're receiving a complaint from a Board of Health member now, and that's probably, I think, trying to satisfy that complaint. And I certainly don't mean to put Crown on the spot as far as, you know, what you guys can offer. But I just wanted, it seems to me that there have been things that have been offered and people have been, like, if no one's received a complaint since the porta potties were there, then I just wanted to know from a legal standpoint what happens if they do get offered something and they turn it down, or, you know, unfortunately some people are unaware of how bad they have it, or something like that. And you know, Paul, I think, is that where you're coming from?
Actually, I was hoping to hear better news from Crown today, other than weather. Yeah, I think a demand letter and that they offer, obviously we're not going to go and force these people into alternative housing, but I think a demand letter for repairs to start immediately, and the offer of alternative housing to at least these 2 units, and what that alternative housing looks like. To your point, we don't know these people. I know that there's 3 children involved with one of them. Thankfully, we're no longer at 15 below, but that was sustained for almost 3 weeks here. 15 below.
Yeah, I think just to qualify what Mr. Biddlecombe said, he's not trying to deflect responsibility by saying we haven't received a complaint, but the fact that we received a complaint means that until a couple of days ago, we really did not even think that this was a salient issue, which is why we don't have any prefab solutions in a can that we can present. You're asking us to, you're giving us some contingencies. We're happy to discuss them internally. We're happy to discuss them with the customer in question to try and find some sort of a way forward that's fair and satisfies all parties. But the reason why we just don't have anything that we've packaged up and presented to you is that this has come up very, very recently. If this guy had been complaining for the last 2 months, then we would have obviously had the opportunity to discuss this in more detail and start to consider some remedies.
Right. And you know, going back to what I said a little while ago, I'm still not convinced we have an accurate number of who has what. What Paul was saying versus what Angie has, there's a discrepancy there.
Well, to look at it from another angle, it looks like we're talking about one possible household, because one of these residents is now deceased. I think that we have that on the record, and another one has come up with even a temporary solution. So it's really just this last household where we know that someone is living in the house in question, and as of today, to the best of our knowledge, does not have a present solution other than utilizing what the receiver put in place.
So
I think there's still some confusion on that, though, because
yeah,
I'm still under the impression it's 2 units, and one possibly can use gray water, but not solids. So that doesn't prevent them from below zero heading out for the porta potty at 2 o'clock in the morning.
That's my understanding from my inspector as well. Unfortunately, the inspector who has spoken to both of these homeowners had a prior commitment and was not able to join us tonight. My information that I have reported back from him matches what Paul has said, that the 28 is able to pass liquids, not solids, and that 41 is not able to, has the slow draining tub, can sponge bath, but is not able to actively flush. So I believe that it is two that are not, one has a little bit of, as we said, gray water, can shower, can do dishes, but cannot pass solids. And that's the best information that I have, as well as the last time that our inspectors were out there.
Can we agree that under normal weather conditions, that's a hazard, that's a health issue? And then put
100%.
it, and then put a New England winter into it with below 5, below 10, below 15 degrees?
100%.
Can we agree on that?
But I would like to make the board aware that this has been going on since April of last year. We took this community over in almost the dead of winter. Our first priority has been to make sure everyone has portable water. That was our first thing that we put in place.
Does it make sense to have Heath, you and one of the inspectors go out to the property together and kind of figure out really what the situation is, what the needs of the tenants are, and have that kind of discussion and report back to the board? Does something like that make sense?
Yeah, I would welcome that.
My concern is, though, I think the last thing I heard was let's kick that into March. I mean, if that was
No, I meant in advance.
Not with the
In
contractor.
advance of
Paul.
March, not with the contractor.
If that conversation would have happened tomorrow or Friday by the latest, I'd be in favor of that. But I still, and asking town council as a Board of Health member, I still want the demand memorialized in the event that this thing does get kicked all around.
So you mean a note?
What that looks like, whether it's a demand letter or it's a certified letter or it's just a letter expressing our concerns. But and I wasn't going to be real adamant on that until I heard, well, the weather, and we'll get to it in the summer, that kind of thing. Now, please, and I know you guys, I'm not kicking you. HMB, please understand, Heath, I've heard nothing but great things about you guys. I understand you took this over in November. So please, that's not lost on me, okay? That's not lost on me. What happened is I got caught off guard as a board member. I didn't know about this. When I started, it was brought to my attention, and then I started looking at the weather reports, and then I realized that you're leaking 67,000 gallons of water a day, and that there's all kinds of things going on there. It quickly went on my radar. And then I found out that there was one 5-year-old in one of those units, only to find out that there were 3. That's an unhealthy living condition. And as a Board of Health member representing anybody in this town, I'm not prepared to just say, okay, well, thanks for meeting with us. I'm just not.
So when we first took this property over, we had 2 different contractors come out and basically tell us that the new line has to be redone and has to be re-engineered. Homes have to be moved. Mm-hmm. So that's why we have not solved this problem yet. Now, coming to the remedy and talking with the tenants, yes, I think we are more than capable and willing to speak with these tenants to find a remedy. We did not want this, to keep going on as well, but we're kind of forced. But can we speak to these tenants? Yes. Can we come up with a solution? I think we can.
Good. And to Mr. Meehan's point, how quickly can you get out there? And Kristen, importantly too, how quickly can your people get out there?
We'll make the time. We'll make the time.
Okay.
Is it possible oh, I'm sorry, Kate, go ahead.
No, so I don't know where you're coming from. I was going to ask the same thing. I think you are, Chris.
Yeah, 2 things. One, where are you, Heath? Are you local or are you...
I'm in California.
Okay, so not around the corner. So
and
it's not tomorrow. And my second thing was if Paul or myself were available as well to go. Is that while we're not an inspector from a legal standpoint, is that okay?
Not a quorum.
Only
Gotcha.
one.
Only one. Yeah,
If,
that's fine.
if we can't go, we'll make sure Taryn's there though.
So my only other concern, and I agree with Paul of some way of memorializing this. I mean, I know it's on record and stuff like that. Is there, if you do an official demand letter, does that start a process? Does that ring a bell that we can't unring as far as series of events that happens after, or is there a more palatable solution that we can do instead of that?
So
I know
if,
that.
if
I know
when
in
you
some. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. If when you say a demand letter, you're meaning like a notice. So under chapter 111, there's a section 127B about human habitation of buildings, right? And if it's unfit for human habitation, you follow a process, and there's a notice that gets issued. It gets delivered to Crown. There's an order to abate the nuisance, and the Crown can abate it or not. And I mean, presumably they say they will, right? So they would abate the nuisance or come up with an alternative solution. And then enforcement from there is through court, which is, as we know, 5 years later from the receivership, court is not lickety split. So that's really the route that is taken when you're going down the legal path. Otherwise, we could organize a date, have a reporting back to the board. We can even specify the date right here and now. If Heath is in California, it may even be possible, I don't know, to do it like virtually, together with the inspector or something like
No,
that. I'm trying to think outside the box.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we could
So-
FaceTime you, Heath, from the
No,
location.
I'd rather be out there. This is, like I said, when I spoke to the first two contractors, they were like, nothing can get started until the springtime because of the trailers being moved and re-engineering the whole thing, permitting that whole line. But I think, speaking with Scott Knowles, I did have a great conversation with him regarding rerouting the potential
Yes.
41 and reconnecting lot 28 that may have come loose. So, but again, none of those contractors brought that up until I was on the scene and talking with them. So
I see.
I think I would love if we could reach out to the tenant, give the board an update in the next couple of days, and then tentatively let's have a meeting on March 2nd in the afternoon or on March 3rd, the whole day.
So I think that's a little too far out for us, if I'm speaking for Paul, but I don't disagree. And not trying to be a pain or anything like that. There's obviously, like, you guys are in California. There's a missing link in this chain somewhere as far as, again, I don't mean to keep harping on who has what. And that to me is an optics issue, especially, people start hearing that there's a family that doesn't have certain sanitary facilities or something like that. It's a very bad look. And I was in the trailer park yesterday. I actually got to speak with a couple of residents, and they're excited about Crown and everything they do, and that's great. I think we also need to get on the right path as far as how a resident can complain, or not complain, but express a concern. They call the management, whether or not they might not know to call the management company, or some people, like my parents, they live on Rockland Street. I get horrified if I go over there because they're like, the dryer's been broken for 3 weeks and they're just drying clothes in front of the wood stove, like poor people, and it's like people just put up with it, and sometimes that's not great. I think what makes me emotional about this is if I hear a child that has to go through that, and they're relying that unfortunately children don't get a say, but their parents do, and if their parents aren't doing it, so I like there is no animosity, malice, or anger or anything like that on my end. I don't want to leave this meeting today without a plan for tomorrow. And I mean, that's what we're here to do. Um, because the one thing that just concerned me was, and this, you know, I'm going to give you guys a pass. You're not aware of what we're aware of as far as who has what. So that's the most important thing, because you guys do strike me as a very responsive company. But if you're not aware of families that don't have something, how can you fix it? So we need to solve that first, and then figure out what action we're going to take from there. And not to keep talking, but the last thing that concerns me, I just want to make sure if we do a letter or something like that, that we do it the right way, because I don't want to end up issuing something that starts a snowball that, well, we can't fix that, so now we have to shut the whole trailer park down and everybody gets bounced. So I just want to make
Correct.
sure that
Well,
we do everything
my
correctly.
solution was to reach out to the tenant this week, talk with them, find a solution, report back to the board. I don't know how faster that we can work than that.
No, I understand that,
I'm
but
all ears.
if you're not aware of which tenants to reach out to, we need to solve that first.
That's
Yeah,
all.
and I think, Heath, what Chris was saying is he wants a report back to the board more quickly than March 2nd. So if you talk to the tenant this week, and we had another, and it's a Board of Health meeting is very easy on Zoom. We had another meeting even the beginning of next week for even just a status update to say, you know, to Mr. Meehan's point, is this something like, is the tenant even interested in being rehoused or relocated? Because some tenants are really opposed to that, and I don't know if the board has the authority to essentially force an eviction where there's a sanitation issue, but it is a really it's a really
That's long
tough
and
decision
convoluted.
to make. Yeah, so even if we just had a meeting to say, okay, I don't necessarily even have an engineered solution, but here's what the tenant said, and here's what we discovered in terms of their facilities, like that.
So the
Well,
board
I
is
think if we were to do that, I think our inspectors, certainly Kristen, and either Chris or myself should be involved with that dialogue at the same time.
Yeah.
Because again, where I'm going, and please don't take this the wrong way, I meant everything I said. I hear wonderful things about you guys. But I want everything memorialized. In the event that this falls through the cracks and that this winter continues, to me, it's unacceptable. I want it fixed yesterday. I wanted it fixed last week. That's where I'm coming from. I'm sorry, Kristen.
No, that's fine. I just was going to say that the board is scheduled to meet next Monday on a separate issue. We could do it as a hybrid meeting so that the parties present via Zoom today could still be present, and we could invite the two residents to come in and express their feelings, have their moment to say, you know, we're fine, leave us alone, or we're not fine, somebody help us.
And that's fine if they want to do that, but I would be satisfied. I'm not sure about anybody else on this call, Chris, Taryn. I'd be satisfied if Heath or one of his representatives had that conversation with our inspectors, with Kristen and with Chris or I, while we're all talking to the same person at the same time, and let's see where we're at. I suggest that I would bring the town clinician down there as well. I think that I know that clinician goes in there probably regularly. Is that a fair statement?
Yep.
Yeah. So
well, either between
that would be my
her
suggestion.
her
That would be my
or
suggestion.
the deputy director are in there on different issues.
Right. Because and please don't take this wrong, but there's a lot of confusion already. We're still debating on what units are operable and which ones aren't, and who's living in what. So I think that can only happen, Heath, if you're involved, we're involved, all at the same time. And you do have representatives here in Massachusetts So delaying this is, to me, is not an option.
I think if we make it so that we can know, have the inspectors, or, if anyone from the board wants to be present too, get a clear cut on what unit needs work, what exactly we're talking about. I think that's number one, which we want to do. And then the plan in place to contact the residents and move forward, I think is great. And that's what needs to happen. And having documented that what exact units we need that done. And I think that can be done by Monday, that we can know exactly what the problem is and reach out to the residents. I think if anything from this meeting, that we can at least get those two things done, correct?
We should at least be able to agree on what trailers are affected and how many people.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, we should at least be able to agree on that. So, Heath, would you be able to get somebody to meet with our inspectors, Kristen, and either Chris or I down there this week?
I do not believe that's possible this week. Our regional manager is in Indiana, and that is probably not possible this week. But
That's a big region.
as an alternative, we would reach out to the tenant starting today and let's get a hold of them. These tenants sometimes have been very difficult to get a hold of. So
Well,
it's not
that's
like,
why, and again, I don't want to add to the confusion. I would like our side and your side meeting with the tenants at the same time, because there's already, I have detailed reports here regarding addresses, dates, and times, and it doesn't jive with what you have. So you meeting with them and then getting back to us and then us going back down there, I think we're going to be back in the same circle jerk that we're in today. And I really, really want to avoid that, because in my opinion, I want this done, and I heard the word expeditiously, and expeditiously is an injustice. I want it done sooner than that. Or, like I said, and again, I think town council can help me, Kate, if I were to make a motion and we did and I get the lengthy court proceedings and everything like that. My hope is that this never sees court or the light of day in court.
Yeah.
But if I were to make a motion for a demand letter, is that demand letter retractable at any time? I would think it is, yes?
Yeah, especially if the nuisance is abated. So I think the motion would be something more like, I make a motion to direct the Health and Human Services Director to perform an inspection of the properties pursuant to Chapter 111, Section 127B, and follow the process from there as outlined in that particular section. Something like that.
Guys,
I made it up on the fly.
I just want to point out, we were a party to the litigation that went on for over 5 years. We started discussing this property with the receiver back in, I want to say, 2019. So, candidly, we've seen just how when issues like this go to court, everyone ends up losing. No one wants to litigate over this. We want to fix this, and yeah, we don't want to do it expeditiously. If I could snap my fingers, I'd do it yesterday as well. We want to move on this as quickly as possible, but I just have to remind everyone that even in spite of that, that doesn't mean that we can fix this tomorrow. Angie is managing a number of other properties all over the Northeast and the Midwest, all of which are struggling with winter infrastructure issues. Mr. Biddlecombe's in California. I live on the West Coast. We have a prearranged meeting with Scott Knowles to be there at the beginning of week after next. I do think that Mr. Biddlecombe's suggestion, let's start by reaching out to the resident, figuring out what they want, what we can do for them, what sort of arrangement we can reach. We will continue to address this issue and work on it as proactively as possible, keeping in mind that is only 7 business days between now and when all parties are going to be on site with the contractor, weather permitting, beginning of week after next. I really am at a loss to what else we can even do realistically between now and then to get any closer to an outcome of resolving this.
I think what Mr. Meehan's concern is the delay, and I think he wants to start the process on our end so there because there's the first step, the second step, the third step, all of which have to be followed prior to taking any litigative action. And it can, and to his point, it can be rescinded, right? So if you start that process and it begins with an inspection, and it's determined that there's a really reasonable solution that comes from that meeting, and in all likelihood it would happen at the second, then it gets rescinded, no problem. But Mr. Meehan's concern is that we come to the second and then the result is a further delay. Am I right on that, Mr. Meehan?
Yeah, you're spot on. And
Well,
again,
wait a minute.
and I spoke to this early on, right? We've had 8 to 10 water main leaks below zero weather. We fixed them. We got people installing septic
Yeah.
systems right now. I drove by one on Center Street.
I
So
think their
the weather
problem-
excuse is not, it's not, I'm not taking that. It doesn't sell for me.
I think their problem is because it's so unique in the park. And Heath, like, get me if I'm wrong, but I think it's because they have to, whereas our sewer pipes are in the main road,
That's
and
correct.
the septic is in either the back or the front yard. Here, the sewer line runs beneath the house, and in order to relocate a trailer, they need to do a pad and to do something so it's stable, so it doesn't fall over. I'm thinking, I'm not an
Yes.
engineer.
Yes, you are correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
And that's
that's
fine.
the trick
Then,
with the
then in the
weather.
meantime, until we get seasonable weather, then put them in alternative housing.
Like
It's
I
not
said,
acceptable. Listen, it's 15 below, it's 10 below, it's 0 degrees out there. We're talking about children. not acceptable.
we will speak with the tenant. Let us give a chance to speak with the tenant and find out a solution that they're acceptable with. You heard that the former receiver offered housing to one tenant and he denied it. I don't
Well,
know. I have
He
not
didn't
spoken to
deny
these
it.
tenants.
He did not
he
deny
did deny it.
He didn't
It
have
was the
financial
receiver.
mechanism.
The receiver wouldn't do it because the gentleman didn't have a credit card. Now, what would the gentleman need a credit card for if the receiver was putting him in the hotel and putting him up? But that was the receiver's way to get out of it. So to Kate's point, this is why I'm going back to, I want to see this memorialized, right? I mean, because that wasn't you guys. But if you want to talk about something nonsensical, yes, you're in an emergency situation. This isn't habitable. We're going to put you in a hotel. Oh, you don't have a credit card. Sorry, you can't go. What? So there's a lot of confusion.
Not to be, we have the receiver furnished porta potties. Understand that it's not acceptable to us, and I agree with you. I think the first thing is to speak with the tenant. Let's get some information from the tenant. We will sit down and put together a plan, present it to them as soon as possible, report back to the board. I would say no later than Tuesday. Give us the weekend and a couple days thereafter. Going the route of putting in a document, Kate's going to take 3 days to send it to us. By the time we get it, we get 30 days to respond. I mean, we're no better off.
Well, we are if nothing happens this week or next. We are. Then I'm ahead by a week.
But would that be acceptable, Mr. Meehan, to say that these guys could report back to the board on Monday? And
It
Kristen,
would have to be Monday, not Tuesday. We've already scheduled to have a special hearing for something else. We're already scheduled to have a meeting on Monday. I don't know what time is that, Kristen? Do you know?
I believe it's 6 p.m.
So we could
you'll
actually
have to post, yeah.
Yeah. So
We'll post
we have
tomorrow.
we have time to post that, and then obviously while that meeting's going on, we can put them in that, what do they call them? Put them in a room and then bring them in for the next meeting. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
happens?
and sorry, go ahead.
What happens if they can't get in touch? Again, they don't know who to get in touch with because they don't know exactly.
We know the 2 units, so that's.
But you don't, because you're respectfully, there's a discrepancy. I know I keep saying this, but there's a discrepancy between what like Kristen and Paul are saying versus what you guys are saying. So we need to start there first as far as who the right person is for you to reach out to. That's all.
Any dialogue is going to have to involve either our inspectors or Kristen or Chris or myself. Any dialogue with those residents.
How about this? We welcome you to set up a meeting and you can Zoom us, and we will come up with a solution with them.
How about this? How about our inspectors furnish a list of who the parties are that have questionable facilities?
I can email that in 2 minutes.
Doesn't that
So-
seem logical, Kate?
Yeah,
And then
Yeah, that
they reach out
does.
that way?
yeah, Heath and Kristen can send one of her inspectors down, and Paul and or Chris. You could, I suppose,
can't
call
be
it
two, right?
well, it could be a site visit, but you can't talk, so you can't ask questions and all those things. So it's better if it's one, because then you really can interact. So yeah, and then from there, then you'll be able to report back to the board. And I was gonna say one thing, because Kristen, the thing you said about inviting the folks who live there, the residents who live there, to come in, it's sometimes intimidating for
Correct.
people to come to a board meeting, and especially when it's something really personal like housing.
They might not
So-
have the means to either.
And I think there's a
Right.
language barrier and everything else that's involved there, so.
Okay. So yeah, and so to then that point, if there's a language barrier, it might be really helpful to have someone on site, Heath, with you when you're doing the Zoom. Because the communication can be easier that way in person. Yeah, that makes sense. So Kristen, you can post it for tomorrow. Does that work for you guys?
Paul?
I'm fine with Monday. I wouldn't be in favor of kicking it any farther than Monday. 6 o'clock, I think Kristen said.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. We have the variance request first, for which abutters have been notified, so it'll probably be shortly. I can't imagine that's going to take more than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So we would pick this up about 6:15.
Now,
And
what
then-
happens? Oh,
I just
Sorry.
want to be clear. So then, between myself and the two inspectors and a board member, we will make a plan to go talk to each of these residents. Is that the plan? And am I asking Heath to provide me with some times in the next 2 days that he would be available via telephone to be a part of this discussion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that acceptable, Heath?
Yes.
I find that acceptable.
now, you know it's going to end up snowing on Monday.
Oh my
Everything's gonna
God,
be
Chris.
canceled. I'm just saying. What happens if that's the case and the meeting gets? I'm sorry. I just. This is easy.
Well, you can move it to full virtual. If you've posted for in-person and virtual, you can move it to full virtual.
Okay.
Okay.
And
That works.
then we can all be in our jammies.
Bruce, if they're going out in the middle of the night in the snow, we can drive to town hall in the snow.
That's true too. Good point.
If it's open.
Kristen's got a lot of juice. I'm sure it'll be open.
Kristen's got a long commute.
No,
We have
virtual's
a
fine.
long-standing history that there's a training class that my staff and I will be attending on Tuesday that I think has a 50% cancellation or early dismissal rate because of snow,
Yeah.
and it's in Taunton. And I'm not making that up. It probably 50% of the time has been impacted by weather.
So we could
Well,
set
I
this
can
up
be
for
there.
virtual.
I can be there too. I can make it in my car. I'm just down the street.
So does the
He's a
board have
soldier.
does the board have any objectives of us reaching out to the tenant prior to that?
No.
I don't think we can prevent you from doing it anyway.
I'm just trying to facilitate this as quickly as possible. So
I think that
Appreciate it.
that's all.
would be appreciated and productive, so that we can just get a hold on how many residents we're talking about, who the residents are we talking about, and what the residents do want as a resolution for this. That's important as well. Not only our wishes, but also the wishes of the residents too. And then if our inspectors find that everything is safe and everything is acceptable under code, that's also important as well.
Okay.
Satisfied. And you know what, you guys, like, thank you. We know I'm trying to chalk this up to just a miscommunication. I mean, it's obvious to me with what like Paul and the inspectors have versus what you guys have, and so I think it's solvable. But when just please offer them some alternative housing if there's going to be a lengthy process, if possible, and they may not take it, or you may find out that it's just that one person. I just, again, we need to crack that walnut and see what's inside first. So, and go from there.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so I will send an email with the 2 units and the names that I have. Heath, I will send you an email looking for some times over the next 48 hours that you would be available for phone or FaceTime to be a part of meetings. Chris, Paul, Taryn, if you want to email me your availability over the next couple of days to be a part of that, and then we can figure out who best is available to go when we have when we have everybody able to be there.
Anything after noon for me, after 12 o'clock is fine with me.
Okay.
And what happens if we communicate with the tenant and we come up with a resolution prior to the Monday call? Who should we speak to regarding that?
I feel like Kristen is the point person, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Kristen.
Okay.
And I accept any conversation through Kristen to us,
Okay.
I agree with that. And then if the resolution is that we don't have to have, we don't have to meet on Monday, that's okay too, if things move faster, but we have that in place, and I think that's great.
Okay.
That's preferable.
And we
Right.
will put it in our calendar as well to, once you confirm a time for the 2nd or the 3rd, to join you and Mr. Knowles on site.
Okay.
Just so that we're all on the same page about what possibly can and can't be done.
Okay. Perfect.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you guys
Thanks for everyone.
Appreciate
taking
the
the
board.
time.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Good
Thank
night.
you. Bye-bye.
Chris,
Yeah,
you gotta make,
Yeah, I know.
Motion
gonna
to
ask.
end meeting.
Does anyone have anything else? Staff notes, member notes?
No.
Staff
No.
notes always go so well. Nothing?
nothing.
Okay, so could I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Thank you for everybody's time.
I'll second. Motion made and seconded. All those in favor, Mills, yes?
Me and yes.
Euler, yes.
In unison. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kate. Bye-bye.